Everything in this video is not financial, investment, or trading advice of any kind. Everything is just for entertainment, educational, and comedic purposes only. I had red crayons for breakfast. Trading in the markets carries substantial risks. Never trade more than you can afford to lose, and especially be aware against high leverage trading. This is never medical or nutritional advice as well. Past performance is never indicative of future performance. Let's look at a recap for today. These are some of the highlights from our full video. I encourage you guys to watch the full video. We did a deep tutorials on WIF and DGB. When we apply these principles for all cryptos over and over again, it helps you understand a lot. We did live question and answer, building the maps together. I really encourage you guys to watch the full video. But these are just some of the highlights from some of the things that are happening in the markets that we saw. We were reminded of USDT.D from Saturday, where we're expecting it to go higher, which would mean Bitcoin should have a low week. And that's what's been happening. We looked at WIF. We talked about some of the principles of building this chart. We saw that we need to be focused primarily on this zone up here, which I believe is a strength, but shorter term weaknesses have appeared in this crypto. And one of the weaknesses that we saw on the 6-hour chart is price breaking below this yellow parabolic. So we need to watch and focus on the watch line, which is primarily going to be coming up about this angle. Now this angle is only going to be reflected on the daily chart, and the angle looks something like this, but I didn't draw it on the daily chart. But you're going to need to draw that watch line on the daily chart. When price breaks above there, the up move should continue. However, at the moment, we are seeing some shorter term weaknesses appearing. So we may be looking for prices to go down on this crypto in the shorter term. Okay. As well as on the flats, we can see some more weaknesses appearing on the WIF. So I think you're going to be able to get some lower prices on it. But ultimately, we're in an area of health. So we may see prices play down in a lower side. But I believe that I believe there's lots of evidences that there's a lot of incoming money coming into this crypto, and eventually we're going to be able to get to $8.66 areas. Lots of strong verification. I do have a support on the daily chart around $1.35. If we see continued shorter term weaknesses, it would be about there. $1.35 with a break above $2.11. This week would be the price needed. We need to break above there for us the up move to continue, but most likely it's not going to happen just this week. We did a great tutorial today to help you read and understand, so I want you guys to watch it. We looked at DGB.T. We broke it down into a few different basic principles in the live class. These are some of our photos we were taking from all the highlights and tutorials. We can see that DGB currently is experiencing some weaknesses on a few counts. On the yellow parabolic, on this red one, which in the class was green, and then this blue yellow parabolic. These are just highlights of the official lines. They look something like this. We can see that we were expecting shorter term weakness. However, we're currently on the 12-hour chart sitting on top of this 12-hour support, which is good. We do have a watch line on the 12-hour. We need to break above that watch line, and then the health move can resume. But until then, we're actually playing in a bit of a delayed territory area on the shorter term. On the weekly chart, we can see that we're building on top of our last phantom, which I highlighted in white. We can see that overall, even though we should be going down on the shorter term, this is where we're going to be coming down. So those two charts come together would suggest that we are building in these areas. And we looked at the volume and we saw some evidences that we are building with shakeout candles, pushing volume, and the like. Okay, and this is part of our tutorial today. So I want you guys to watch it. Ultimately, I'm looking to get above the watch line as well. Get me above this watch line, and then we're back in business. Until then, I think we're at some of the best prices we can get, 011, and we want to be buying this one as close as we can to the lows. We spiked down below it a few times, so I think you're going to be able to get some prices down in here, especially with some of the shorter term weaknesses. We should be playing around here a little bit longer, and we can play until April 27th. Then price has to make a decision phasing into health, or coming down to weakness and getting some lower prices. But ultimately, we already see the health is already in this crypto. We're in exactly where we want to, so we just need to be sitting here. But we may spike below, but this is some of the best prices for DGB or Digibyte. Up to target number 2, we still have 223% on the board from today's prices. It's fantastic. Up until a prophetic number of 22 cents, we got a 1,608%. That might be very interesting. Ultimately, the whole crypto is in a big healthy area by virtue of us being on the positive side. We looked at USDT. What is this one? We looked at XOR, and I put this. We have 4 days and 12 hours left to go in the weekly chart, but the candle is already having a positive pressure on the underside. This is exactly what we want and need on the weekly chart. If the candle closes exactly like this, is very bullish because it shows support on the top side. Price will therefore have a chance to move very high. We can see all the pressures right here on top of that blue line, exactly what we want to see. We talked about this in the live video. It's part of the foundational key angle in blue and placed as a phantom on top. This is exactly where we're supposed to have that support. We do have evidence in the volume for the pushing. We want to, so this is a very positive sign that XOR is going to move higher, okay? And this is already after a time where we already had health. It was very nice to get Sora right before its last big pump. And we didn't just pump to the top, we pushed. So now we have to sit on top of that line and respect it. And it is being respected. So it's very possible we have a little bit more time to accumulate at these prices. Maybe not much more because a lot of the health is already in this on 4 different counts. So I'm very excited about XOR being able to hit some very high numbers. Remember, XOR has a 1,319% on the board. Wow. It's a lot. I hope you do really well and make a lot of money. We've been talking about the health in XOR since we were back down at the sword cut. So everybody who's been buying at the different areas to buy the first one here, the second one at the sword cut, and now at this one. There's only 3 points to buy at this, and this is the third one. So we want to get as close as we can to these prices. We're not guaranteed to spike below, although if you can get it, great. Right now, price is sitting at some of the best prices. So I don't mind paying these prices to get in XOR to get to that final 1,300. But if you got it at the beginning, it was probably even more. Now that number, 18 cents, goes down every time. But if we break above it, then that's going to be another 4th chance to get an XOR. And then we can really hit some high numbers. This crypto was once trading at $800, something like that, $800 or $900. And it's trading at a penny right now. $800 or $900, and it's trading at a penny. If it got back to $1, you would have a lot of money. If it went to $900, you'd be like a trillionaire or something like that. It's a lot. Okay. Pushing volume. We looked at GALA. GALA in health, we still have a move up to target number 1 of around 163%, and we're building on top of its phantom as well. These are some of the best prices you can get. GALA, that's a weekly chart. We got the evidence of pushing. Once the health is in, we're ready to go. But we need to see the smaller time frames, and the smaller time frames, if you can find the watch lines on the smaller ones, is going to be a good indication about when you're going to move up. Okay, but right now, these are just some of the best prices we can get. We can see price spiking on the underside, but still holding. That's exactly what we want to see. Okay, so any prices you can get close to 0.59, it's great prices right now. Okay, based on the trend. We looked at XRP on a smaller 4-hour chart. We're looking to get above this parabolic. Once we're above there, then XRP has a chance. Otherwise, XRP is experiencing some shorter term delay and weakness. So we're looking for XRP to fall down and have some negativity this week. This was just this past week. There's no real reason for XRP to be experiencing strong pumps right now, are without some pullbacks. But XRP is in a very strong position on the larger chart. I don't really want to be selling my XRP, my longer term XRP, because all the health is in there. We're building on top of this line. So over the these are weekly charts. This is the pump into health with pushing volume. We got exactly what we wanted to see. Now we're resting on top of here. Yeah, we're spiking way up here and coming right back down, but look where we're stopping. The overall chart is that there is health. So my longer term XRP has a chance to move, but shorter term movements dictate and tell me that we're probably going to be going down a little bit more, okay, or playing around in these areas on the smaller 4-hour chart. This does not change the analysis, okay? But remember, we spiked plenty of times on the top side. Now that we're on this side of the price, don't be surprised if we do spike down lower into this side, because now we're on the positive side. We can spike into these areas and still be healthy. So be careful expecting XRP to do some big things, but it's the time and seasons for XRP to actually do something. And when it does move, it's going to move in a big way. The evidence is that it's supporting, okay? But if we spiked high on these sides, don't be surprised if we spike low on these sides, which means it's very possible if you have XRP orders, you're probably going to get some orders fulfilled under here. But these are the times and seasons where XRP has entered into health. So you want to combine it with shorter term and be careful shorting XRP. I do not want to short XRP once it's in health. And it's in health. I don't want to short it. The most I'm going to do is get out and wait for the longer term, wait for the other shorter term health to catch up to the longer term health. The smaller story within the larger story. They need to be in alignment. The smaller story is that XRP is not ready because the health is going to be above here. That's when we're going to take off again at 60, what is this, around 62, 63 cents. That's when XRP is going to take off. Okay, I give it to you here. 62 cents. Until then, price can play down a little bit lower, spike, but the health will come back in. And when the two healths match up, you're in business, baby. You're in business. We have sword cuts at 51 cents and a foundational line that is still holding. Okay, so look for prices to delay and XRP to not really do anything. But when it does come back in alignment, the weekly chart's already ready. Now the daily chart's going to match. When it matches, then it's going to move. But not until then. We looked at flow. We saw flow has a potential up to 0.0077 in our new map. We got the pushing volume. We're looking to rest on top of our old mid phantom. We want to see the volume draining, and we can start seeing that the supply is starting to drain. But don't look for it to do anything super powerful today until we beat the 6-hour chart. Get me above on top of the 6-hour. We're ready to go for FLOKI, but it's not yet. Potential up to 280% more on the table just to the next target or to the next resistance. We looked at Heart doing a similar thing, building on top of all of its tiger lines, 1, 2, 3, these orange ones. And we can see it building here exactly what it should be with pushing volume into these areas, exactly what we want to see. 71% left on its target. If I'm in this crypto, I'm seeing this as bullish right now. Building on top of here, I don't want to exit or take profit just yet. I want to make sure I'm taking profit at 0.6 at least. If we break above, there's another trade that can trigger once we build above there and get a pullback. But until then, I just want to make sure I take in profit at 0.6. I don't want to get out right now if I'm in this crypto Heart. Not yet. The move up to the flat, 571%. It's a flat / a hidden battler. So I think it's definitely going to come up. Hidden battler number 2, actually. 571% on the board from today's price. Okay. We're going to see probably some delay this week on the smaller time frames. We talked about that in our video. We looked at Bitcoin again. Bitcoin's rounding on top what we're looking for from Saturday. We're looking for that shorter term weakness, which and now coming back down is now forming round action on top of the monthly chart so far, the monthly. And on the weekly chart, it looks like this. Oh, this is the daily chart. Okay. When we looked at the volume, we saw the pushing in Bitcoin past this area. This is the weekly chart. We pushed past this area, followed by a shakeout. Now we're having low demand. On this bar, probably looks like another shakeout, but on the low side, we want to see, therefore, the volume dry up. This is perfect. This is evidence that we're building. We're pushing past this for a reason. And now we're going to come back down and rest before the next move up. We saw the short-term weakness. Again, like we talked about, now it's time for us to pull back. We talked about that on Saturday. We did pull back. None of us are surprised this week. None of us are surprised we came back down because we all knew where the weakness was. We said, hey, weakness, we're going to go down this week for Bitcoin. Look for that to happen. That is what's been happening. There's still evidences that there's too much supply at some of these prices. Therefore, look for Bitcoin to hang out as well. We talked about that in class. The next move should resume when price builds above 66,000. If we get above 66,000, that's when the next move will resume. Until then, look for prices to hang out anywhere between 57 to 63,000. That's where it's going to hang out because that's where their supply is all out. So there's too much supply. They're going to test it again until they can dry up the supply or until there's heavy buying. And then we push up to 66. Once we're above 66 building, look for the next move to resume. It probably will resume in April. Probably, or the end of the month. We'll see it. Okay, here's another look at that 4-hour chart. We do have a smaller target at 57 to the low side. And it intercepts the vortex. It's going to intercept the foundational line that goes about right here. We have it in our charts. About 57,000. They match. And they match over the next week. This is a 4-hour chart, so maybe the next few days you will see prices come down to 57, most likely. Current price, 63,000. So we can see price playing around here, but remember that 66,000 number, that's when the next move is going to take off. I can almost guarantee it because it's the same structure, that parabolic that comes down here. I drew it on Luna Classic, I drew it on Volt, I drew the same exact one on Bitcoin in 2 occasions on the weekly time frames, and it looked almost as similar. And then we can play. I said price can spike down here, but when that parabolic continues out, when it continues out, it doesn't matter how low price goes, it does not lose its strength. When price ever comes back up, if it ever does, and it sits on top of there, that's when it's going to take off. And I showed you guys plenty of examples of that on the weekly charts over our past few weeks. And this is how it's shown up on a 4-hour. I didn't mention this in the live session, but I'm mentioning it now. Again, USDT feeling pressure on this bar. Look for the move to 3.14 if this continues to be the case. There's only one other update you need, and that's at the end of the month. Other than that, we're getting ready for the next biggest pumps in crypto. Pushing, I said we're not going to get past this area unscathed. Now we're pushing to the underside of here. It has to give us some response in here, but what it does or does not do at this line is very important. That big block, the sludge area, from my report, we are building on the underside after spiking into the spike zone, exactly where we're supposed to, and coming back up. Now we're coming back up. This is another clue that price is going to go down to this number. 3.14 to the low side is 2 point something. Okay, we are not going to get past that area without touching it, and we are touching it. And if we continue to stop like this, especially at the end of March, guys, look for a next big pump on crypto. You're going to see it, and April is going to be fantastic for many cryptos. You guys are going to make a lot of money, and I hope you do really well. Remember the Lord. Give your tithe and offerings to your local church. Remember the Lord. Don't be selfish with your tithe and offering. It's to rob the Lord after He blesses you. That's a type of prophetic warning. Okay, if you're doing withdrawals. I want you guys to make sure that you are in a strong position of your life. So I don't want you guys to be focusing so much on the crash right now. That's especially for our community. Don't focus so much on the crash. The crash will come, and I believe the data is going to show it. But it's probably going to be around the 3.14 area. That's where we're going to see the next reversal, and then we'll see some weaknesses and certain things occur. But for now, I really don't expect the big crash just right now because we're building on the underside. The underside of that line, that's going to be really telling. There are certain cryptos, you guys know, that are having strong accumulation patterns. Some of them are like Shiba. There's a lot of these cryptos that are sitting on their phantoms, and I'm telling you, I'm seeing it. It's not just one crypto. It's over and over and over again. Many of these cryptos are sitting on some of their strongest supports and structures. I told you that before some of these cryptos, and they were on the larger weekly charts. So you guys weren't seeing anything. Everybody said, why isn't Shiba going up? And I said, guys, look at Shiba. And I did 2 videos talking about how important it was. on the larger time frame, and shoom, it shoots up, and everybody's, no, it came out of nowhere. No, it didn't. It took years to set that up, but we saw it coming in for a long time. We even saw when the first health came in, but we saw that it had issues. So I said it's going to come up and it's going to come down because it's issues. But once it came into the second health, I said, guys, and you saw it, it's on YouTube. And if you don't see it on YouTube, it's at least on our page, on our website. I said, Shiba, 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 right? Because it's so critical when you see some of these structures. I'm seeing these structures. And if at the very least, if you guys don't know how to read a chart or watch our class today, join our live class. Once you're a Dive member, if you guys are watching this clip on YouTube or something, if you are a live member, follow our tutorials today, or go to all of our lessons 1 through 10. I show you how to read the method. There's so much health that is appearing on the larger charts, maybe not this week on the smaller time frames, because there's some short-term weaknesses, but on the larger time frames, prices are setting up for another large move. I told everybody in our group this week on Saturday, I said, look at the lower points of the map, because you're going to see prices come to some of the lower points on those maps, and look for some of those supports, and you're going to find those are the entry prices. Though there's a lot of people in the markets who are just panicking right now, or they're watching a lot of the ups and downs, but we're not sweating it one bit, because we can see when the short-term weakness comes in, guys. We can see when the shorter-term health comes in alignment with the larger-term health. We can see the larger-term health, and we know where to look for the larger-term weaknesses. None of us, it's catching us by surprise, or it shouldn't at the least. And I'm here for you guys. We'll have our next class on 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Saturday.